Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the inaugural race for Summit League Racing Team. So tonight we have SLRT up against FRT. We've got two 25% races at Mexico and Russia. As you can see, we're at Russia now, with a short quali for both coming right up. But of course, before we get going, we are going to pause and reflect for a minute's silence. Obviously, after the tragic news that we received last weekend of the passing of SLR McEwen. So once we load in, we will commence with that. Okay, then looks like we are getting going. So then, Mercs, good evening to you, mate. Of course, myself and yourself have driven in SLR, or drive in SLR. So we know their lineup. Obviously, this is their first race as a team. And I also know a little bit about FRT, racing them the other week in a friendly FRA did against them. So I think off the bat this looks like a very even matchup. I think both teams have some strong drivers, and this could be a really close matchup. So I guess let's just get your initial thoughts off the bat as the car's now heading out for the start of qualifying.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hope everyone is well and excited for the event. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about FRT, but I'm sure that they're going to give SLRT a good run for their money as well. So I expect some close racing, and we will see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited because, well, I don't know much about FRT, but yeah, I hope that it's close and hope to see some close racing as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a yellow flag then just coming out. As we've got then a few of the SLR drivers then starting their runs. So we've got Dylan about to start his lap. Dylan, of course, races in Division 1, which is the second highest division of SLR. Very strong driver, won multiple races last season, and he also has driven in the top tier before as well. I've got to be honest, this FRT lineup is pretty different to the one that I raced against the other week. FRT Akos, I believe, and FH444 are the only two drivers that raced the other night, but they're both strong drivers themselves. I've raced against Akos in STB as well, so I know that he's a pretty strong driver himself. So, like I say, I think this is going to be a close matchup. Obviously, we hope it is. We hope it's going to be some really strong racing going on, and obviously, It's a long way to go. Two 25% races with a short quali for each. So I think even if the first race doesn't go exactly to plan for either of these teams, it won't be the end of the world. As obviously in these team v team events, all it takes is a couple of drivers to be right up there and the whole thing can turn on its head. So we've got Dylan then setting the first lap of this qualifying session. 30.1 was a very strong lap to start us off. Let's see who we've got next. Well, we've got a few more drivers crossing the line. There we go, FRT Akos dropping the time down to 29.8. Got a few more FRT drivers then, I think, just finishing their laps off as well. We've got Evan crossing the line now, and he slots into P2, so two FRT drivers at the top, closely followed by Dylan.
We had a spinner, or someone made a mistake. LR Despair made a mistake. Just coming onto the back straight, and he was stopped for a moment. But yeah, I think Chris is invalidated. He's coming to the pits, and Jish is in the pits as well. But yeah, 29.7 for the first run is not too shabby. I certainly wouldn't mind doing that myself. But yeah, we'll see if they can improve. But yeah, it looks like advantage FRT at the moment, but it's only qualifying, so it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely a long way to go. I was about to go to Despair, but he's just pulled off into the pit. Yeah, 29.7, as you say, Matt, it's a very strong lap to start us off in this session. I mean, anything in the 29s as a bank is a pretty good lap. I mean, I think some of these guys will be looking for mid-29s once we get really down to the business end of the session. But yeah, to start off with those laps is a really strong start for FRT, which I'm sure is something that they would have hoped for heading into this event. Let's see if any of these guys are going again. Beast looks to have saved up a lot of his battery, but I think that's just because he is not on a push lap yet. So everyone's coming back in. We've got Crispy then, who had lagged out. He's got himself back in, which is good to see. He's on an... I think he might be on a lap here, actually. Yes, he is. So Crispy, very strong driver. We know rather well, Mercs. Multiple podiums in the elite tier of SLR this season, which is always good to see, and a driver that's really been on form as well in the back end of the season. So what are you expecting from Crispy tonight?
Well, he also has one pole position to his name at this very track. Obviously he has more than one pole position, but he has one pole position at this track very recently. So yeah, 32.6 first sector. Just missed the middle sector, but it seems to be a good lap. He's put out of sync of everyone, but I do expect Crispy to be the strongest of the SLR team. Of course, you've still got Dylan Raceroller, who are also very quick over one lap, and 29.8 on his first lap. It kind of proves my point. He's 0.3 faster than any of his team. So yeah, I think Crispy is the one that SLR will be hoping for, that will be fighting at the front. Yeah, and bringing home the bacon, but he's going to have his work cut out. But it's a good banker to start off with.
Yeah, I think you'd say, at least at first, a very important lap, to be honest, from Crispy, because it gives the SLR team a little bit of momentum. Before then, it was an FRT 1, 2, 3. So Crispy just getting himself up into the top 3 there, I think, was pretty important for the SLR team. As you say, yeah, Crispy was on pole in SLR, 29.4 he set. So it looked, well, if that's anything to go by, there's definitely some time to find in his room. But obviously we are using the multiplayer cars here, so they are going to be slightly different in their characteristics to that of the official cars, as we've got FRT Chris then just starting his lap heading through turn 2 now, or turn 3 this is. The long sweeping left-hander, keeping it tight to the curb on the inside there before flicking it through the right-hander of turn 4. And then up to 7th before back down. Bit of a front right lockup and runs wide on the exit of 5, invalidates his run, which is a real shame because it was looking like a pretty solid first sector. We'll go to Jish then, who's also currently without a lap time down in P10, but his lap, at least at the moment, is valid. Yeah, I mean, talking of the multiplayer cars, we've got the SLRT guys tonight. They're excuse me, they're all running a tribute livery. to SLR McEwen, so that's nice to see. Obviously, I guess the other thing that goes with that is that the official SLRT livery is yet to be released, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for when that happens. But obviously, the livery they're running tonight has a much bigger meaning than that. 1:39 then for Jish through the middle sector, so I think he's going to be looking around a 1:30 for this lap. As he crossed the line, 30.2 goes P6. So at the moment, FRT occupying 4 of the top 6 positions. So yeah, you've got to say they're on the front foot at the moment.
Ecos just gone purple in first sector, so he's going well at the moment. Yeah, it seems to be. I think Solving Sock is currently on an outlap, and he'll be looking to improve. Yellow flag. Looks like we have a possible spin, but they're going again for one of the SLRT drivers. Perhaps giving a toe to someone else. Slowing down enough, maybe not.
Whoa, I tell you what, Akos is in a great lap here, Mercs. He's nearly 4/10 up through the middle sector. This could be a very low 29, which is a fantastic lap round here. Let's see how he gets on in the final sector. He's got the fuel light flashing, so he's really going for this, minimum fuel to try and extract all the lap time he can as he goes through the penultimate corner there, trying to keep it within the limits, but pushing it as much as he dares, and he's crossed the line. It's 29.5, but lost a 10th in that final sector, so definitely some time in that, but a 29.5 is a very good position to be in with 7 minutes left to go in the session.
Yeah, indeed. So, well, he knows he's got time in that lap, but I think it's probably worrying for the opposition, really. There's FH444 comes across the line with an improvement up to 4th place, and puts another FRT driver up there. Who else on that? Race Roller's up by 2/10, so he could put himself up into the top 5 if his final sector's alright. Well, it's a very good final sector. Half a second improvement, 2.5 tenths in the final sector, and he is up into 3rd place.
Ooh, yeah, I'm on a board with Despair, but he got it all wrong there, going onto the back straight, nearly lost the car. He did very well to hold it, but yeah, that was a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment, I think, for the SLRT driver there, nearly ending in disaster. So he's going to have to go again, yet to set a lap, so he's in a spot bother, really. He needs to try and get himself up the field, although we'll bring in Jam, who has joined us now. Of course, Jam, you know possibly better than anyone that starting outside of the top 10 at Russia can be a very good strategy. Of course, you've won a couple of league races, I think, or at least you've certainly won the one round here doing the alternate strategy. So yeah, I mean, I know it's a bit different in a 25% race where obviously the tyres aren't as big a factor, but even so, I think it could be an interesting position to start in, couldn't it, outside the top 10?
Yeah, it certainly could. I think obviously, as you say, a bit different in the 25%, but the tyre weight's not bad at all around here. So I think you could probably do 2 or 3 laps on the mediums, and then do the rest of the race on softs, and not really have too much of a compromise from all those laps on the softs. But yeah, the yellow flags that we had a couple of minutes ago, that was for Dylan, who spun in the middle of sector 2, and yeah, got a bit of wing damage. So yeah, there was a spin for one of the SLRT guys, but yeah, he's coming to the pits, got a new wing, and he's back out on track, so he's alright. But yeah, to answer your first question, I think with the 25% of strategy for outside the top 10 might not be as big. I think you want to be with your team, helping them out as much as possible, working together to beat the other guys, rather than starting low down and doing something different. But I mean, it could work, couldn't it? Obviously, with Despair and Chris, so one guy from either team at the bottom at the moment, which could play into either team's hands.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I guess with the team v team events, you kind of hit the nail on the head, I suppose. You want to be with your teammates. There's that obviously sort of tactical element to it, where if you can get 2 or 3 of you, as FRT have done, towards the top of the standings, they're currently sitting 1-2. Obviously that puts them in good stead. They can work together and defend or pull away, or however the race turns out. But SLRT occupying 3rd and 4th with Race Roll and Crispy at the moment, so they'll obviously look to try and get a good start. It's a long run down into what is turn 2, I suppose, around here. But yeah, so obviously that'll be an interesting, if that is how the grid forms. But Chris just crossing the line there, goes P5.
I just watched his whole lap, and he matched Akos in the first sector, but then kind of tailed off after that. But yeah, I mean, still, he has got time, and I don't know if he'll be able to go again. Dylan has done the same, 32.6 in the first sector, so see if he can continue his momentum. It takes a large chunk out of that right-hander, but it doesn't validate. But yeah, it seems like the first sector is going well for a lot of these drivers. They're just not able to hook the lap up as fast at the moment. But that will only belong to one driver, P1, and it's down to the business end of the session.
Yeah, it's interesting that we've seen a few drivers then not really be able to either match lap times or match some of those at the top, because Sobbing Sot went again, but he couldn't find any time. He was well over 2/10 down on his previous run, but Dylan's on a very tidy lap here. This could see him possibly up into the top 3, as we just see Sem there go 4th. So things looking a bit more positive now for SLRT as Dylan crosses the line as well and goes P2. So suddenly it swings, it turns on its head, and now SLRT occupy 4 of the top 6 positions. I don't believe Chris is going to be able to go for another lap unless he goes for back-to-back runs, and it's kind of now down to really those towards the bottom. I mean, you've got FRT, FH444, Evan, Jish, and then Beast and Despair for SLRT. They're in the bottom 5 places. All you'd say, well, they're about to start laps if they're not already, and
Bish has made a mistake, and he's lost the rear once and he's losing it again.
That's a shame for Beast then, isn't it? But you'd imagine that a lot of these guys do have some time in their runs. Obviously, Despair hasn't set a lap, so this is really crucial for him because, you know, whilst maybe starting outside the top 10 is useful, you don't want 2 of your drivers out there, and Despair nearly losing it through turn 11 again. So he's really pushing on this run by the looks of things.
Yeah, I need something. Beast is obviously in a spot of bother at the moment, but I mean, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. So he won't be too worried about that, and I know he loves a bit of Mexico. So even if it doesn't go well here, he can hopefully bounce back. But yeah, it's all turned around in the space of a few minutes, and Despair goes a long way off the track. Somehow doesn't invalidate and goes 11th.
Yeah, he's really pushing the car by the looks of things, you know, back end going all over the shop. We haven't really seen anyone go for slipstream, which is slightly surprising at a track like Russia, where there's 2 long straights that could be optimised for top speed.
You say that high, but Dylan's just giving Crispy a huge toe down the back straight.
Has he?
And that is
oh, there we go, wow. What a lap from Crispy then. So I've been made to eat my own words there rather quickly, but Crispian does go to the top of the timings, 29.3. That's better than his pole lap in Elite this season. So yeah, Crispy looking really strong, and I think you know, as I say, SLRT now probably looking in the stronger position. Of course, Crispy will want to try and give Dylan the toe down into turn 2 if it ends up with the top 3 being like that. Maybe a bit of a Valtteri Bottas role. If you've watched Drive to Survive, you'll get the reference there. We've got FRT
is invalidated.
Ooh, that's interesting because well, that was his first run, wasn't it? The 29.7. So you would have thought he could have maybe extracted some more time from his lap. So that could be quite crucial because he's only 9 thousandths off Dylan as well.
Evan is on a decent lap. He's 2/10 up.
His third backed out.
Looks like it's Evan.
Little bit tentative in the final corner, but still enough for P5. Alright, let's see what FH can do around the final couple of corners. Yeah, that was weird from Evan. It looked really tentative through the final corner, but it was still enough to put him up. And FH gains a couple of positions on his teammates to go P8. So it's a bit of an interesting grid that we've got here then.
Race rollers up.
Really mixed up.
Race rollers up.
Oh, Race Roller's still on the run. I apologise, I thought that was it.
Oh,
and he spins across the line.
Oh
He improves, but not enough
He
to
could
find a
have.
position.
Oh, if he hadn't have.
Do you reckon he would have got fifth? If
I
he,
think he'd have got third, to be honest, because only a 10th.
Possibly, yeah,
He
possibly.
lost a 10th, over a 10th in the final sector, so.
Yeah, knowing
one
Racer
more
Ollie will be a bit annoyed with
one
that
more
then, won't
10th, and
he?
he'd have found himself on the second row. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but we still got Dylan on there as well. And yeah, slipstream is so important down to the run down to turn 2 as it is. So, yeah, we'll see.
Most definitely. Yeah, you look at that there on the wheel of the Racer Roller's car, the rear left tyre 132 degrees, so I think you can tell he lit up the rears there through the final corner, but that is a really competitive qualifying session, it has to be said, and look at that, it's the field so mixed up here. It sets us up very nicely for what we suspected would be a very close event here. It is SLRT on pole with Crispy, but they're joined on the front row by an FRT driver, FRT Akos. So, you know, all to play for. Field's really mixed up. We've got 2 SLRT drivers at the back. Could go for the alternate strategy, but they've got 3 FRT drivers in front of them. So, you know, everyone will be looking to make positions up at the start. And, you know, that run down into what is turn 2, you could get a little bit feisty. We've seen it before. Obviously, we hope not. We don't want incidents. But yeah, I think in a such a competitive environment as this is, it could get a little bit feisty down into that first braking zone on the first lap. Of course, Russia, it's a bit of a weird one because it seems as though it should be quite easy to make overtakes here, with obviously the 2 long straights, that is the sort of the front straight and the back straight as it was. But it's kind of not that simple, really. I mean, if you're in a DRS train round here, you're really going to struggle. And with the nature of the final sector as well, pretty much being 90-degree corners, it does mean that it's a little bit more tricky to kind of get that run and stick with a car as closely as you'd like through the final sector. So it's not always the easiest of tracks to pass on. And obviously, with it being a 25% race, both tyre compounds pretty much should be able to do the whole distance. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we see an early stop here, maybe around like lap 3 or 4 or something, someone going for the mediums or vice versa onto the softs. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Looks like we're getting right into it, which is good to see. But yeah, I don't know if there is dynamic weather or what, but it looks pretty clear right now, so I don't think that should be a factor. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably a good time to ask you both sort of just what your thoughts would be in this position right now. Obviously, you're going into a very competitive race. You know, you want to do it for the team. You know, individually, obviously, you want as good a result as you can get. But obviously, you know you've got to work as a team to really maximise the points. I mean, that running down into turn 2 is going to be so crucial, and I mean, what would your thoughts be at this point, just on what to do and how to manage it off the start?
Obviously, you just got to get off the line well. Easier said than done. I don't think I quite qualify for getting good starts, so yeah. I mean, it's just you've got to be smart, really. I know you want to win, but you can't win on the second corner as it is. So. Yeah, just don't get damaged. If you lose a couple of positions, you lose a couple of positions, but there's still another 12 laps and 2 sectors after that. So, yeah, so there's just no need to get in any drama. But I know you boys have done a lot more racing in these sort of events. So I'll hand over to Jam.
Yeah, pretty much what Max just said. To be honest, I think don't pick up damage. Keep your nose clean, and yeah, I mean, if you lose a position or 2, then there's every chance you could get one. You could get them back. I think the key in this race is around Russia, especially. I'm probably in Mexico in the next race. Just don't pick up a penalty. 13 laps.
Yeah.
3 warnings is all it takes. It's quite easy to do around those 2 tracks. So I think penalties, if anyone does get one, could be quite big. But yeah, just help your team out as much as you can. If someone behind you is quicker, let them through. Don't hold them up. You're a team here. It's not all about individual glory. Obviously, everyone wants to win the race, don't they? But I mean, if Crispy wins for SLRT, and then it's two to 8, 2 to 7, whatever it would be for FRT, then that wouldn't be enough for him, would it? So it's all about maximising the points for the team.
Exactly. I think, yeah, not getting damaged is obviously the main thing. Managing the battery as well, and like you say, avoiding pens, because it is such a short race. You know, one penalty with the closeness that we've seen in qualifying anyway, that could be, you know, really, really damaging to a driver. And yeah, getting damage. I mean, I don't know if the safety car's on or not, but if we don't see a safety car in this race, yeah, so if someone picks up damage on the first lap, I mean, that's pretty much going to be race over for them, to all intents and purposes. But we have got all 12 cars then lined up on the grid, and it looks as though we're about to take the start. It is Crispy on pole from FRT Akos, and this is lining up to be an extremely competitive race. So here we go then, 5 red lights are out, and off we go then for the Russian Grand Prix of SLRT versus FRT. And it looks as though Crispy's had a pretty nice start, but Akos straight away getting into that slipstream, and Sobbing Sock and Dylan are going side by side. So FRT already trying to get the initiative here and take up a couple of positions as a front wing end plate goes flying off the runoff there at turn 1, and it looks as though there might have been one for an SLRT driver as well. As we look back, can't see any damage straight away, but it is still Crispy from Akos, from Dylan, from Summon Socks. So the top 4 remain the same. Race Roll and Sem as well. Top 6 looks as though it's just about remain the same for everyone. If we look at position changes, FRT Evan, I think, was the driver that picked up some damage. He's already down 5 positions, and Despair as well. So Despair for Despair by the looks of things with that damage so early on, excuse the pun. Yeah, I think Evan unfortunately just missing his braking point, but he's down 5, and I think probably just let his teammates go, which is the smart thing to do, as Despair has let Beast go as well by those things. But yeah, great start from Crispy. Did exactly what he needed to do. Dylan as well, but he's already under pressure from Sobbing Sock, but Sobbing Sock as well under pressure from Race Roller as we head down into turn 14 it is.
Ooh. Close.
No, not quite. Sobbing Sock had a little look down the inside, then big lock up on the front right, but avoided him, which was obviously important because, yeah, damage at this point of the race would be crucial. Crispy with an 8/10 gap already. He needs to try and pull that out of the DRS.
Roller on the penultimate corner.
Down the inside. Well, it's a big lunge, but it's a great move from Roller.
When I caught him napping, really, I think he just deployed the ERS and just went for it, and he got his just rewards. And well, I don't know if there's any team orders here, but I think Dylan's really struggling to keep up with the pace in the front too. But Race Roller's going to have to stick behind for now, or is he? As something stopped up the inside. And yeah, this battle's going to rage on, I think.
Yeah, it looks as though everyone stayed out, so despite that damage, they're going to try and soldier on, as Summon Sock's going to look to go round the outside of Roller, is he, through turn 4, not on this occasion. This is actually turn 5, I'm getting the numbers all mixed up, but look at these two going right at it throughout the whole of the first sector, but Race Roller looks as though he's just about solidified the position for now, but it doesn't look as though Sobbing Sock is going to give this one up without a little bit of a fight here, but really, as far as starts go, couldn't really have gone too much better for those 4 SLRT drivers that currently occupy 4 of the top 6 positions, as Despair now picking up a penalty as well. So Crispy leads the race from Akos. Dylan is dropping off. He needs to keep within DRS range of the FRT driver, otherwise it could become a little bit of a split race with a few battles going on, and that's not really what you want in these team v team events. You want to try and keep in a train because you want to stop people overtaking you. That goes kind of for your own team as much as the other team.
But having said that, it's kind of a 2-horse race out front, and well, turning into a 2-horse race. And if, let's say, Dylan gets detached, it probably is as you were really, because just let them 2 fight and see what happens, because you'd just rather have your own team finish 3rd and not make any mistakes than try and go for out and out pace and then make a mistake trying to keep up with them. So I think try and stay with him, but if you don't, then just don't make mistakes after that.
Yeah, definitely. It was the 2 SLRT drivers and on the mediums at the start. Everyone else is obviously on the softs. They were in the top 10. Sobbing Sock already down to 25% of his battery. He's really pushing, I think, to try and get this place back off Race Roller. Can't seem to do it right now, and using so much of his battery so early on could come back to bite him. later on in this race is he's got 2 SLRT drivers in front of him, so it's going to be pretty difficult, I think, to get this move done with Roller in the DRS of Dylan. I think Dylan might just be dropping out of Akos's DRS. So yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons, as you say, Mercs, to these two pulling away. As obviously there's 2 SLRT drivers in 3rd and 4th. So like I say, it's going to, I think, be difficult for Sobbing Sock to get this move done.
Oh, Beast almost spin, but yeah, he's getting detached from that group as well, stuck behind the damaged Evan, and just can't. It doesn't have quite enough grip on those medium tyres. I almost feel like, well, it's the spare pits. Almost feel like Beast could have just done with pitting, getting out of this traffic that he's got, and then just going all out on the softs. But probably a bit too late for that for now. But a bit of team orders, by the looks of it, between Dylan and Race Roller, and well, yeah, obviously Dylan's dropped off outside of DRS, and now he's dropped into P4.
That could be a smart move there from the SLRT boys. I think Roller already looks like he's got a bit more pace. If he can, yeah, purple first sector. If he can push on and get onto the back of Akos, then that's going to put Dylan as well in a really good position. So yeah, a smart move. But yeah, kind of as Merck said as well, Beast just had his race ruined pretty much by the fact that he couldn't get past Evan, and he still can't get past the FRT driver. He's lost over 4 seconds and any chance of sticking to the back of this big group. So I think by the looks of things at the moment, at most it would be P10 and one solitary point for him as it stands.
Yeah, Sobbing Sock then right down to single digits on his battery, trying for all his might to get onto the back of these SLRT drivers, but he just can't do it right now. Roller is a couple of tenths off the back of Akos, so I was going to ask the question whether you think Crispy might try and back him into Roller, but I think that's probably not the smartest thing to do at this moment in time, because Crispy hasn't really been challenged too much at the moment for the lead, as we've got FH444. We've got a few drivers now in the pits. Beast has pitted, but I think to try and get ahead of Evan, yeah.
A bit ironic that he's coming into the pits at the same time, but I expect as FH444 does, okay, just glitches out in front, but I thought he was going to get held.
It's an FRT wing for Evan, I think.
There you go. Yeah, Beast finally gets his man, but it's probably a bit too late now.
Yeah, that could be a smart move, I think, from FH, because they were a little way off the back of Sem, I believe, those guys. But I mean, they were kind of running in the sort of no man's land, the 3 of them, as it were, Jish and Chris as well. So I think he's doing that to try and close up that gap to the guys in front, and more than anything, I guess, even if it's not to gain positions, if someone gets a penalty, that could be all he needs if he can get within that window. Because if he can pick up DRS later on in the race, I think that would be really important, as Despair gets another penalty. He's come out just behind Evan, so I think those two are probably going to be battling it out for the wooden spoon by the looks of things at the moment. I'm not entirely sure how the point scoring is working. I'd assume it's going to be the top 10 score. As Sobbing Sock pits, so he pulls the trigger to try and undercut. I think Dylan is going to be the idea that the FRT, the engineers have told him that they want him to try and undercut one or both if possible.
This is going to change the race completely, I think. Yeah, I don't know what to expect, but
I think
this could be crucial to how this race finishes, where he ends up.
I was going to say as well, it could be big for the SLRT lads if Roller pits for an undercut, because looking at the battery, Akos has 80%. So yeah, if Roller can get himself. If he can make it an SLRT 1-2, then that'll just make it even harder for the FRT man to try and get this race win. I think they're leaving Crispy quite vulnerable out front at the moment, so they really need to try and get 1, if not 2, with Roller and Dylan ahead of Akos. I think if he hits this lap, though, it could be difficult unless they can try it on an overcut, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, they are to a degree, but Crispy as well, to his credit, is managing the battery pretty nicely. He's around 50% himself. I'd imagine we're going to see Akos come in because pretty much all of the FRT drivers, or half the FRT drivers, have already pitted. Sobin Sok is only 2.8 ahead of FH, so his undercut might have worked quite well here. And no, we've got two SLRT drivers pulling off. Yeah, one was extremely late. Was that Roller?
And
I
he's
think right into
gone
the pits.
slow into the pits as well. So this could. Oh yeah, he's held up Dylan a treat going into the pit lane. So hopefully.
Ah, dear.
Oh, he might get held
They
up
pulled
by
the trigger, haven't they?
by Jish and Chris here as well. Oh,
They've pulled the trigger. The SLRT drivers
Dylan might
try.
Yeah, Dylan's got held.
Oh, that's big then. That could be really important because Sobbing Sock, I think, is he seems to be pushing quite hard on his outlap. Although, having said that, he's trying to recoup some of that battery as well, I think.
Yeah,
So let's see where he comes out. Oh, he's miles ahead of Dylan.
Even FH444 is almost. Well, he's in DRS range of Dylan, and that spells trouble for Sem, even though he's got a penalty now. Jishu's got a penalty, so
He's got himself back in the race as well.
Might be.
Yeah, he has.
He's
Well, definitely.
back in it, really.
I think this is an important lap here for Roller. He needs to keep Sobbing Sock out of his DRS. I think as well he needs to push obviously to try and get ahead of Akos, who's now battling with Crispy. To be honest, it wouldn't be the end of the world if Crispy starts battling, as that is a big lunge down the inside. Contact made as well as Akos went very deep there into turn 14. I don't think Crispy will be too pleased about that move, but
Go in, surely.
wasn't. Well, it was close to the limit. I don't think it was over the limit quite, but it was an aggressive move there. But to be honest, I don't think that would have done Crispy and the SLRT drivers too much harm here, because they'll have lost time battling, which could give Roller a chance to get back in. And yeah, that's big for Sem. That's really big. That could seriously lose him 2 or 3 positions at the end of this race, as Crispy I think might have just been held up a little bit as well coming out of his pit box. So we'll go to Roller then. Can he get himself ahead of Akos and into the lead of this race? It's going to be tight. I think he's going to do it here.
He's going to have slipstream.
It's going to be so close. He's going to have the overspeed as well as they head down into turn 2. Is he going to think about a move here? Nah, Akos covers it off.
Crispy behind
Good
Sobbing Stock
defensive
as
driving.
well.
And Sobbing Stock gets the overcut, so that's big. It looks as though in this pit stop window, the FRT team have made the moves. And to be honest, they kind of pulled the trigger with the undercut, and it seems to have worked out pretty well for him, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yellow flag. That is Despair by the looks of it. Yeah, he's not having the greatest time in Russia. But yeah, they were bold on the strategy front. Akos was bold on the manoeuvres, but at the end of the day, he kept it on the off-four wheels on the track.
Penalty for Sock.
Crispy yielded. And yeah, penalties are coming up left, right and centre at the moment. And
yeah, I
more
think
people have got
if you look at the yeah, I mean, if you look at the penalties, though, the majority belong to FRT. So, you know, they might not have the track position, but at the moment, you'd say the SLRT team are in the stronger position, just on the penalty front. As I mean, Despair, I think, has about 9 seconds now, but he's right at the back anyway, so that shouldn't affect proceedings too much. I mean, really now, Roller needs to win this race, I think, is important. I mean, he doesn't need to win the race, but I think it will definitely help if he can push Akos for the win. But look at the battery on the FRT driver, 80%, and he's cruising out front by the looks of things.
Compared to his teammate, who's on, well, virtually nothing. As he goes down the straight race, Roller gets all out of shape going through turn 2. Yeah, Crispy really needs this DRS, but he's not at the moment. I don't know if he's lagged out or not, because he's going really. I don't know. He just seems to be going really slow.
It's just been a mistake,
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Seems to be.
We've got some inter-team battling going on. I think they might just be swapping around positions. I think it was FH and Chris there.
No, it's FH.
I think they're trying to defend. Was it? Yeah, I think they're trying to defend from Beast here, because he's coming onto the back of them now, only a couple of tenths away. Of course, on those soft compound tyres, which we said can do pretty much the whole race, obviously in a 25%. Tyre wear is not really too big a factor. And look at this from Beast. Even with DRS, I'm not sure Chris is going to be able to defend this one down into turn 14. Here we go then, down the inside. Is Beast going to go for the move? It's a big lunge. Just about slows the car down in time, and Chris is forced off of the track there. Very similar circumstances to the move Akos performed on Crispy only a few laps ago. So I think that's 1-1 now in terms of big lunges from both teams there. But Beast does get the move done and is up into P9, which is important for him because he has a time penalty, as do the two drivers ahead.
Yeah, and all that, Dylan has been waved past by Sem. Sem obviously with the 5-second time penalty is in trouble. Sobbing Sock is putting Race Roller under pressure. Probably just put him under pressure so he tries to make a mistake, gets a penalty, but yeah, it's just all over his gearbox. And well, Crispy seems to have sorted himself out at the moment. It probably was just a minor mistake. Looks worse than it was, but yeah, he's set to jump ahead of Sobbing Sock at the moment, and can Dylan jump up ahead of him as well?
Yeah, Roller then back up to about 40% of his battery, but I've got to say, this is a very impressive display from FRT Akos at the moment. Still on 75% of his battery. He's barely using it here, and he's cruising out front at the moment. He has got to be wary, though, because obviously, given how powerful the slipstream and the DRS is, you know, I wouldn't count Roller out of a move, but at the moment, you've got to say he's in command of this race, and he's putting FRT in a very strong position. As here does go Crispy, and he's nearly tagged the back of Sobbing Sock there. That was almost a massive incident, so they did well to avoid that. I think Sobbing Sock went on the move to defend and kind of just maybe spooked Crispy a little bit, because there was still room there on the left-hand side, but obviously as the track goes to the left and the wall's there, I don't think Crispy wanted to risk anything. But yeah, that was an interesting one. It almost ended in disaster there. That would have been a pretty big incident had they come to blows there, as Crispy almost kind of got caught on the rear diffuser of the FRT car.
I think with Akos not using as much of his ERS, this is helping out Dylan and Sem catch up a little bit, because his pace could obviously be a lot quicker. I think he's starting to pull the pin, to be honest, with a few laps to go, but Dylan has closed up a little bit. Yeah, it's battling as well. Will help Dylan get closer, because obviously Sobbing Sock's got that 3 seconds and Dylan hasn't got anything at the moment. So yeah, the more these guys battle, the easier it will be for Dylan to pick up another place.
Yeah, Akos is starting to push out front now. He's trying, I think, to break the DRS to Roller, because that will give Sobbing Sock a chance at the SLRT car later on. But a bit of a mistake there, I think, has cost him that chance, because now Roller, I think, has used some of his battery as well to try and just keep within that window. And obviously, look at how much time he's gaining now down this back straight into 14 with the DRS. So unfortunately, I think Akos there, he might get another chance at it, but I think that was a big chance to break the toe that he just couldn't quite get. I mean, it's almost a race of what could have been as well for Beast, because he's having a fantastic recovery drive now up into 8th. He just passed FH on the main straight at the start of this lap. And you've got to say, if he hadn't have been held up so much behind Evan off the start, he could be in a fantastic position right now. But it's ifs and buts really for Beast in this race. Could still recover and get that position off Jish, but he's just outside of his DRS with a couple of laps to go. Here goes Race Roller then, down into turn 2. He's got the inside line, and it looks as though he's going to get the move done, but Akos didn't really put up much of a fight there. But Roller getting all loose out of turn 3, and Akos now down the inside at 4. Roller trying to hang it in there. He'll have the inside for 5. Is Akos going to chance it round the outside? No, thinks better of it, but could he get him on the switchback into turn 6? Roller trying to cover off the inside. It's going to have to be round the outside for Akos. Can't get it done, but again, trying a switchback. No way is he going to go for it down into 7. Surely not.
Still not
quite.
using
Roller
the battery though.
Holding the middle of the track, but as you say, James, importantly, Akos still on 60% of his battery, and to be honest, I could see him getting Roller down this back straight right now, but does he want to do that? Because obviously then he's going to miss the chance out onto the start-finish straight, but it looks as though he might be going for it. I don't think he wants to go for it, but I think he is going for it, because he's not using any of that battery. Down the outside it is, down into 14. Roller trying to hold it as Crispy goes for a move on Sock at the same time, and Sock forcing Crispy right off the track there. He's got the inside now, has Sobbing Sock, and again just pushing Crispy right out of the way. He's really getting the elbows out, is Sobbing Sock, and he can't get it done. So Akos then is back into the lead with 70% of his battery, but is Roller going to be able to, with the DRS, have a go at the FRT car down into turn 1? It looks as though Akos just isn't defending again. What is he doing here, guys? Why isn't he using some of that battery?
I'm not sure, but like I say, if he just does what he did last time, he wins the race. So probably more tactical than anything. And
Sock gets another
penalty. He has to. He has to win this race.
Does
Akos? So yeah, for FRT to have, considering that Sobbing Sock's going to lose 2 places at least at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
Right then, let's see. As we're on the final lap here. I mean, he's pretty close, is Akos. But all it would take is one mistake out of turn 11. That's going to cost him any chance. But, well, he's not really made any mistakes so far. And there we go. He's got the line. He's going to have the slipstream, the DRS, and all the battery in the world to go for the move as Roller's light starts flashing. Akos is still on 40%. And, well, pretty much a walk in the park there for the FRT driver. Roller can't really do anything about it. And Akos is, I think, going to take the victory here, but well, I think he made it a bit more difficult for himself than perhaps it needed to be, but he's got the job done nevertheless, and it is going to be FRT to take the victory in this first race on track, but on points it looks as though it's going to be SLRT, but we'll have to wait and see on that one, as it is Roller in second, Crispy third, Dylan fourth, Sobbing Sock ends up fifth in the end with Jish in sixth, Chris comes home seventh, so actually pretty even as we go into Mexico by the looks of things. Beast is 8th, Sem 9th, and then FRT FH claims P10.
Dylan with the fastest lap, which could be crucial as well. Yeah, Beast probably just missing out on what could have been P5. Wasn't too far off that in the end. Obviously, if he hadn't picked up a penalty, who knows at this point. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, I think it's 50 to 52 in favour of SLRT as we go into Mexico. If I've done the maths right, just quickly in my head, which is, well, that's really exciting. I think as we head into Mexico, all to play for. Pretty much winner takes all. Then I think in this next race, which is going to be fantastic. As we have the podium now, but yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant drive from Akos. I mean, Crispy did very well to get pole. I think unfortunately that move from Akos just before the pit stops kind of possibly cost Crispy any chance of fighting for the victory, it seemed. But I mean, given how strong he was on the battery, you know, and how he sort of just blitzed past Roller, you can't but feel that Akos was in the stronger position, nevertheless. But yeah, I mean, really good racing on display there, and pretty much, as I say, level pegging going into Mexico. So this is going to be a really fascinating race here. Beast did well to recover to P8 from 12th on the grid. Jish as well up for himself. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely set us up nicely, I think, for this Mexico race. So yeah, I think it looks as though 52-50 to SLRT in their inaugural esports team v team event, but FRT are giving them a really good go here, and all to play for then as we head into Mexico.
Yeah, exciting. I mean, yeah, like you say, I think it was almost FRT's race to lose because of Akos having so much ERS. At that point, you kind of thought that it'd be criminal if he didn't win that race, and yeah, he done the job in the end. I think he was very smart about the way he went about that race, and kind of Well, it was closer than he probably would have wanted, like you said, but he done well in the end. But makes it all to play for. By him winning, makes it a lot closer than it could have been if he hadn't have got past in the end.
Yeah, definitely. James, your thoughts on it before we head into Mexico?
My thoughts on the race as a whole, or on Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it was close. I think the fact that Akos was maybe not supported as much as he likes probably made a difference. I think if Sock had maybe had a little more battery, he might have been able to get past Roller, and obviously that would have been decisive in that race. But yeah, I mean, obviously FRT I think had more points, not more point scorers, but they had yeah, kind of the whole sort of mid pack was their guys, wasn't it? For quite a majority of that race. I think with penalties, obviously that changed a bit, but yeah, obviously it's really close, isn't it? So it's kind of a little hard to tell. I think it's anyone's game. I know a few of the SLRT boys are pretty quick around here, but yeah, obviously quite a few of them are pretty quick around Russia as well. I think yeah, it would just be a case of penalties again, and yeah, whoever can just get that little bit of luck or whatever on the day.
Yeah, I think penalties probably are going to be a pretty big factor heading into Mexico.
Need slipstreams here as well, of course.
Well, yeah, probably even easier to get penalties here than at Russia. So that'll be important. I think slipstream, as you say, James, in qualifying especially. I mean, if you can get a tow down the main straight, you know that could be massive. It could be the difference, you know, between pole and P6 or something. Yeah, definitely. I think if the drivers are in a position to, they'll want to do it. But I think as well, getting a lap time on the board will be pretty important. As we saw, I think it was 2 or 3 drivers in Russia. It was failing to set a lap time for a little while in the qualifying session. So they want to avoid that, obviously, because if they can get a lap time down, they'll be able to, I think, maybe push it a bit more, take a bit more of a risk, maybe with track limits later on in the session. But looks as though we're going then
Wet race
for qualifying. A wet race. Right, well that's going to definitely mix it up a bit because, well, it's going to make it very difficult to overtake.
Apparently it's Akos, not Akos or whatever, because Benz is all in my ear at the moment, so... yeah, because he's Hungarian. Yeah, so apparently it's Akos, not whatever we were saying. And yeah, he's not happy. So
I do apologise.
Just a bit of sidebar, but there you go.
All right. Well, I guess I'll brush up on my Hungarian next time. Can't say I'm fluent, but there we go. We've got 3 SLRT drivers then out, all in tandem really, by the looks of things, and then 3 more split by the 1 FRT driver. Who's that? Oh, it's Akos. There we go. I'll get it right for you, Benz. The FRT driver at the moment splitting the 6 SLRT cars. It'd be interesting to see then if any of these guys effectively back out of their first lap in order to give a tow, or whether they're all just going to start their laps relatively close to one another and try and get some slipstream that way. But we'll see as Dylan starts his run now.
Yeah, long run down to turn 1. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not too much similar about these 2 tracks. They're completely different, but the characteristics are basically the same. Got a long run down to the first braking zone, and then you've got the middle part of the lap where, you know, and then you can't really overtake, and then yeah, obviously it's a little bit different in the end, but there isn't a large straight. There is a DRS zone, but you're not going to see much overtaking. But the characteristics are very similar on this track, so we'll probably see a lot of the same as we did in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to overtake in the dry in this middle sector. let alone the wet.
It's difficult to
it'll be
hold the car in
interesting.
the wet.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. I'm intrigued, really. I want to know if any of these guys have gone for a wet setup here. I mean, I think given how short the race is, qualifying position's just going to be so crucial. Probably not going to have to make a pit stop either, if the tyre wear or tyre life allows it. As Dylan then crossed the line 13.5 to start us off. So yeah, I think it's all going to have to be done on track, really. As looks as though we've got an SLRT driver spinning out the final corner. That is Despair. Not having the best of afternoons so far is the SLRT driver, as it looks as though most of the drivers here have either invalidated or must have made a mistake, as there's quite a lot already heading back into the pits. We've got Chris crossing the line as well, so we've got 3 FRT drivers on 0.7s, Simon Sock on a 13.6, but it's 2 SLRT drivers at the top of the moment, both on 13.5s. So there's a big window, there's lots of scope for improvement there. Could possibly even see a 12 here. I think most likely low 13s is possible from these guys.
Ooh,
so
big cut from Sim.
so yeah, they'll definitely they'll definitely know that there's some time in these runs here.
Might see some drivers going for a back-to-back, such a short lap, and yeah, the tyres don't really matter if it's raining. So yeah, 600ths covers the top 3 at the moment, 2/10 covers the top 6, and only 7 people actually set a valid lap time. So yeah, it's obviously difficult jumping from track to track, so yeah, that's obviously something that we've got to think about, really. There might be a lot more mistakes here than there were at Russia.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out, of course, because as you say, they'll kind of just been getting to grips with Russia, perhaps, with the sort of shortened running that we had round there. Now, as you say, you've got to sort of throw it right into Mexico, which is, in some ways a similar track to Russia, but in others quite different. Obviously, there's no sort of fast-flowing S's section at Russia as there is here. So, it's a different environment, really. Obviously, maybe a bit more added pressure, as obviously the first race has been done. So I think a few of these guys will have some sort of inkling as to what the points situation is. But at the moment, I mean, 5 of the 7 drivers with valid laps are FRT drivers. So, despite possibly thinking they might be feeling the pressure a bit more, I don't know. They're the ones that are setting the valid laps at the moment. Although, having said that, given that it is SLRT's first race, first event, I'm sure they'll be feeling the pressure as well. That's crucial from Crispy, because the driver who showed again some strong pace in SLR when we were around here. Obviously, I'm far more knowledgeable on the SLR guys than the FRT drivers, unfortunately. So yeah, that's why I kind of keep mentioning them and their lap times. But Akosh here, it's a 0.6 in the first sector, which is a very competitive first sector time, as he didn't have a toe either. So looking really strong is the FRT driver. Won the last race, of course, was on the front row. Can he do it again? 54.3 through the middle sector split. He's on for a very strong lap here. It could be a 12 with a strong final sector. Most likely going to be P1 if he can keep it valid. Here we go then, round the final turn here. Easy on the traction to avoid over-rotating the car, and it is going to be a 13.091, and he's on provisional pole by nearly 0.5 of a second, so very good lap there.
Despair has span right in front of the pit lane entry.
Again?
Yeah. And he's, span right in front of the pit lane entry. Luckily, he didn't hit anyone, or anyone didn't drive into him. But yeah, as Dylan has now invalidated, Race Roller's getting a big toe down the main straight to start his lap. Let's hope he can finish it off well. But yeah, that's a marker laid down by Akosh there. So I don't know. We'll see if anybody can get close.
Yeah, Crispy's on a run here, about 4/10 off through the first 2 sectors. So I don't think he's going to be challenging, but he could put himself up into the top 3 with a good final sector here. As we've got yellow flags in the middle sector. I don't know whether that's a car that's spun or if the SLR car's just letting some people through there. And Crispy does go into P2, but it's only marginal really, his gap to Dylan. At the moment, Akash, well, in a world of his own, out in P1. James, we'll go to you. Roller's had that big toe through the first sector. How important will that be as we go through this qualifying session?
But depending on what he sets here and how the rest of his lap's gone, it could be huge. I think with a toe, you've got to be looking at getting into the 12s, and as I say that, it's a 13-2.
He was down in that first sector though, even with a toe. So he obviously made a mistake for the triple chicane as FH has crashed. So yeah, carry on.
Only a 0.8 in the
We've
first
got
sector.
Evans to P3. Yeah, that is surprising. Simon Sott goes P3 now on a 0.4, but kind of almost again like last race, kind of 2 out there on their own, and then the rest kind of following behind. His 3rd to 8th at the moment, separated by less than 3/10. So it's very close in the middle pack there. Just a few hundredths separating some of these drivers. 3 SLRT drivers still yet to set valid laps, which could be crucial when we start this race. Obviously, even more so than Russia, the run down into turn 1 is so big. You could...
Yeah. It's wet this time, so...
With the slipstream. That is a good point. That's probably, you could say, the best opportunity these guys will have at making an overtake down into turn 1 then on the first lap.
Yeah, it might not be the most exciting race you've ever seen, but I'm sure it'll be a workout for all the drivers. Might see a few frills and spills. We'll wait and see. The spare revving out 7th gear, probably not the greatest for his top end speed, but yeah, he's got a lot of corners to go through, and he's got to get a lap on the board.
Yeah, I was trying to find a driver who's on a lap here. I've eventually got one. It is Despair. Going to get a bit of a toe-off beast down the second straight. Kind of, not really. So we won't have gained a massive amount of time through there. 27.8 through the first, and kind of matching what Crispy managed, if that's anything to go off. But I think Crispy's definitely... Well, I know Crispy's got some time in his lap there from what he has done. Despair then... qualified outside the top 10 in the first race. Needs a good qualifying here, I think, to really show his worth, and it's looking like a pretty good lap so far. Pretty much might even be slightly ahead of what Crispy was doing. So he's looking around, I think, P5, P6. But he makes a big mistake there. Losing the car, big slide. As he heads now through the final corner, needs to try and not spin it. And yeah, I think that mistake is pretty costly there, as it's only a 13.8, but it is crucially P9 and ahead of an FRT driver for Despair, as Beast now starting a run as well.
Akash is on another lap, but it seems the first part of the lap didn't seem as good as it was before, but I might be about to eat my words. But, he obviously recovered it in the S's section. You're down in the first sector, and managed to recover about a 10th back, and yeah, there's not improving by much, but could he be in the 12s? We'll have to wait and see. He has a decent final sector, and he just about nips in there and extends his advantage. Gonna need a toe, I think, if you're gonna beat that, as Dylan goes 3rd fastest.
Yeah, so it's kind of panning out relatively similar to what the last qualifying session was, with the SLRT drivers coming back into it as the session progresses, but it is still FRT Akersen out in the lead. So we've got Beast on a run as well, so we have now got everyone on valid laps, or setting a lap time, sorry, apart from Beast, who's about to do so now, and it's P9 for him on a 13.7.
Crispy only a 10th up for the first 2 sectors. At the moment, though, I see him go P4. make that P5. So he needs a good final sector. He will have another shot at it, you would think. But yeah, under pressure at the moment. It's crispy and it is a decent final sector. But yeah, it's going to be all about the race start. You would think. So the higher up the grid you can get, the better your race is going to be.
Yeah, Evans just had a massive toe off FH there, who's then proceeded to cut the first couple of corners to give him another one. So I think the stewards might be having a look at that one, and he is nearly 2 tenths up through the first sector. As a result, is Evan. So FRT using all the tricks in the book, I think, to try and get their drivers further up the field here.
Race rollers on a similar lap to what he was. I don't think he's going to get close unless he sets a world record final sector. And no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
improve.
Evans not really found any time in that middle sector. Would still be enough to put him, I think, maybe even into P3 as it stands. As he goes across the line now. And it is P3 for Evan then. That double toe proving vital for his lap. We've got Sobbing Sock going again as well.
Yeah, Jish is up 2.5 tenths on his lap. A bit off the pace at the moment, but this would see him move up a couple of positions, and we'll see what he does. And it's a decent, yeah, he kind of matched his final sector, but he's up into the top 10. But tyres don't really matter at this point. It's just about, like I say, qualifying as high up the grid as you possibly can, as we have just over 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, let's see how Sobbing Sock is getting on then through this middle sector. He's 3 tenths up on his lap, so Sobbing Sock, I think, could be joining his teammate on the front row. Big lock up though into the hairpin, but he gets it slowed down nicely and takes the apex nevertheless. And it's round the final corner now then for the FRT driver. Is he going to put himself on the front row? Yes, he is. It's P2 then for Sobbing Sock. Found 4 tenths there on his run. Mega lap to put himself onto the front row. So we've got 2 FRT drivers leading the way, followed by Race Roller, followed by Evan. So it's a FRT 1, 2, 4, and then 7, 8, 9. So they're definitely in the stronger position as it stands.
Interestingly,
Spare then is going again.
Yeah, interesting. Sobbing Sock getting out of the way, even though he didn't actually have to, because the driver behind him was on an outlap. I think he was trying to avoid getting the toe, so he went on the grass so that driver couldn't get the toe. But turns out they were just coming out the pits.
Yeah, probably avoiding the toe and also maybe getting out of the way in case they were, because you know you don't want to get a penalty for blocking unnecessarily. As to spare them through the middle sector, he's a 10.5 up. So at the moment that would put him ahead of Beast. He's made another big mistake going into the stadium here. Really struggling to keep control of the car is the SLRT driver at the moment. And he's invalidated, so he's going to have to go again, or I think that might be his session over, as it looks though he's peeling off into the pit lane. Sem, yeah, he should have given Sem a toe, because Sem is just starting a run now.
Yeah, obviously a bit of miscommunication there from the SLRT boys, but yeah, Despaire's just not looked comfortable in the. I'm not sure if it's the multiplayer cars or if he's just lacking a bit of confidence, but yeah, he's not really looked at home at all today, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we've got Sem going again now then. He is almost a 10th up through the first sector. As it stands, that'll be enough to move him up 1 place, but yeah, if he can find another couple of tenths throughout his lap, then he could be right up there in the top 5. So yeah, I'll just keep you updated on that one.
Yeah, we've got a lot of FRT drivers just starting their runs now. As Sem's invalidating, and that is going to be really costly, or it could be really costly. You might just about have time to
Crispy's
go
going to be
again.
the first one to set a lap. Dylan slowed down as well. He's got
10.5 up is Crispy. Could get himself on to the second row. Join his teammate Race Roller. Comes up to the line now. keeping it as tight as possible to the line. And yes, he does go P3 with a 13.1. Roller as well is going again though, and he's 2 tenths up through the first sector. Has a brilliant first sector at 5.
I said his middle sector wasn't the best it could have been, and he's improved only by 600ths of a second. But it's still an improvement. Is he going to extend his advantage even more as he comes up towards the line? He is another good final sector. That's 2 tenths.
What a great lap, yeah. Great lap from him. Let's see how Roller's getting on then. He's nearly 2.5 tenths up through the middle sector. Roller then has an opportunity to put himself on the front row, which could be really important for this race. Is he going to be able to do it? It looks as though this is a very tidy final sector. I think he's going to do it here as he heads up to the line now. And he does. Race Roller then goes P2, just over a tenth off of pole, but crucially ahead of Sobbing Sock. Crispy's backed off on his lap, so he's going to be 4th at best. Evan can't improve his position, nor can FH. They are 5th and 6th. Dylan is 3 tenths up on a lap, almost 4 as you say. He could join Race Roller in the top 3 here. Not sure he's going to go ahead of him, but we'll have to see. As Dylan crosses the line now. No, P3, but it's a very strong lap from Dylan, and well, it's very close. I'd still say advantage FRT as all their drivers are in the top 9, but SLRT have 3 drivers in the top 5, crucially.
All about the race start, and yeah, it's gonna be close. I think we'll see. But yeah, obviously it's a lot different starting in a race in the dry that is in the wet. It's all about getting off the line well and getting the momentum, especially for a track like this, which has a big, long, straight, longest run down to turn 1 on the calendar. So yeah, just because you're on pole gives you the best start, gives you the closest run to turn 1, doesn't mean you're going to be ending up there. Yeah, I think if Akosh gets a good start, I can't see anybody overtaking him if he doesn't lose the lead on the opening lap.
Okay then, so all 12 separated by a second, so it's very tight in there. This run down into turn 1 could be possibly the only overtaking opportunity some of these guys get all race, so it's going to be important to take it if they can. SLRT then currently holding an advantage, albeit an extremely narrow one at 2 points. It looks as though it's going to be intermediate conditions because it doesn't seem as though the rain's too heavy. But we'll just check now. In fact, they're all on slicks.
Oh wow! Well,
so
okay. That was not expecting that.
It's one of those by the looks of things.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Yeah, it's even worse. I think you'd rather be started on the intermediates, to be honest. But yeah, I think you just got no mistakes. I mean, it's the same for anything. Even if you're in the full dry, you've say no mistakes. But yeah, if you do make a mistake, you're probably not going to catch it. So yeah, it's going to make the drivers sweat a little bit more, but it probably means we'll get some more overtaking.
Right then, James, any thoughts before we head into this one?
Well, I think now with the fact that they're all on the slicks, I think just keep it clean once again. I think any sort of mistake in these conditions could be really costly. We've actually got Beast on the mediums, which is interesting. Obviously, what he did in Russia, but this time on a wet track, that's a pretty ballsy call. He's really got to get some heat into these tyres on this formation lap, otherwise he's going to be a sitting duck to despair, and then to the rest of the pack pulling away from him. But yeah, I think now in these conditions you've got to keep a level head. You've got to avoid the contact, and obviously the run down to the first corner is going to be crucial to this race.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they've all got to make the one stop anyway, so Beast could, maybe, he might be thinking about pitting, you know, right at the start and taking the softs nearly the whole distance, to avoid pretty much having to use the mediums at all. Could be done. Whether he'll go for that, I don't know.
I think
Um,
I think it's bold, but like I say, if we are having these conditions for the rest of the race, the soft tyres
tyre wear won't be as high,
the
will it?
soft tyres are probably the ones you want to be on, and if he can just keep it clean, yeah, I mean, he could find himself slicing through the field just by having more grip. Just well, yeah, slightly more grip could be crucial to this race.
Alright then, here we go, as they line up on to the grid. It's going to be perhaps a slightly nervy braking zone for turn 1 here. Who knows what the weather conditions are going to do as they break down into turn 1. Here we go, lining up on the grid as we got 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are underway here in Mexico, and it looks as though from 3rd place, I think that's Dylan, is it, with a very good start. Roller as well up. Is he into the lead? Yes, he is into the lead, is Race Roller, and he's gonna get that, but it's 2 FRT cars in behind.
Looks like they've all made it
Hopefully
through
the timing
cleanly.
screens will start to sort themselves out. So yes, it's a Roller from Sobin Sok. Then it's Akash, who's lost a couple of positions. Dylan is 4th and now having a little look. Is he at the FRT driver? Not quite. Crispy 5th. Sem down the inside, looking to try and get P6 off of FH. And I think he's done it. Has he? Not quite. They're going to go side by side.
Should have the high ground.
And Sem just about has the move as he had the inside line. Dylan already letting Crispy go.
They're all over the place at the moment. Just looking for hunting for the grip, but Race Roller with the good start. Akash kind of got hung out to dry a little bit. Yeah, he's down into 3rd place, and Sim and FH still going at it. And FH gets ahead. Sim, yeah, a little bit ambitious, trying to go down the inside there. Oh, there's a little bit of a spin.
Gets on the curb.
And yeah, he's just under pressure, maybe a little bit flustered.
Beast and Jish battling it out behind Mertz for P11.
I think Jish went
So
off
Beast,
at the start.
I was going to say Beast didn't do too badly to maintain his place off the start.
I saw someone fly off the road on the grass after the race start. I think that might have been Jish, but he's managed to keep it all together, and he's now ahead of Beast. But there's Despair and Evan side by side. And Evan...
Yeah, they are. A little bit of a glitching with the cars ghosting for some reason at the moment, but...
Still a bit of a ding-dong going on.
Oh, big lock up on the front left.
Yeah,
Evans closing the door, but Despair was trying to stay in there. Wasn't to be. He gets half spun then, but... Well, he's still in the race and doesn't look as though he's got any damage, thankfully. So, you know, it's not the end of the world just yet. And Jish wasn't able then to get past Beast. So Beast must have hung on in there through the first few turns and remains ahead, which could be quite big for him.
There's Race Roller's run out of ERS, interestingly.
So is Akash as well, actually.
Wow, they must be really, really pushing. Crispy is 1.3 off the back of these lots, so you'd imagine they are pushing, but look at this, Sobin Sok just seems to have so much more grip as he's got a fantastic run out the final corner on Roller. Is it going to be a move then from Sobin Sok? Down the inside, he looks to go into turn 1.
A little bit tentative.
He's trying to go for the move, but yeah, just not quite close enough. I think he was in 2 minds there, and as you say, tentative. Couldn't really go for it, but he's having a go now down into turn 4. Doesn't really break any later than Roller. He's got the inside for this time, but it's then the outside, and Roller goes aggressive on his defence, trying to force Sobin Sok to back out of the move, but he's not giving this one up, as we saw in Russia. But Roller with the inside line for 6 just about holds on for now, but I don't think Sobin Sok is going to be giving this one up, as he looks very quick, does the FRT driver in these conditions.
Yeah, with DRS enabled now, it's going to be quite hard for race roll. Oh, Akos goes late on the brakes, almost rear ends his teammate Sobbing Sock. This is going to allow Crispy around the outside. It's going to go around the outside. A good move from Crispy.
What a move from Crispy.
Yeah, gets the
Brilliant
position.
move around the outside there.
I don't know if he gets DRS or not, but yeah, they might have been side by side at the detection point. Looks like Akos is going to probably get him straight back here. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, and I think Sobin Sock's going to get Roller here, but he's down to basically
on the
no
grass.
battery already, is the FRT driver, so he's really pushing that battery, as he did in Russia, to try and pull away and try and get the position off of Race Roller. Roller managing a bit better at the moment, but I suppose now that Sobin Sock's in the lead, maybe he'll be able to pull away, because it did look as though he had some very strong pace. Beast and Jish are having some sort of ding-dong going on behind as well. I don't quite know what's happening there, but they've somehow found themselves about 6 seconds behind the rest of the field. Crispy did just about defend from Akos, and
this has let Sem pass. So I don't really know. That was a bit weird. He kind of was going so like he let Sem go, but I doubt that would have been the case. Might have just made a mistake. I'm not sure on that one. But yeah, Crispy.
Did you catch
under pressure.
anything on that, James?
No, sorry, I didn't. I've not been looking at that particularly well.
Crispy under
Fair
pressure.
enough.
Anyway.
Yeah, we're kind of in a relatively similar position to last race. We've got 3 FRT guys all in a group together, and then it's kind of the SLRT drivers trying to get the positions out front off of the FRT guys, as Akos is looking to come back at Crispy. Is he not quite close enough to go for a move down into turn 1 on this occasion, but he might set him up. We might be able to set him up for a move out of turn 3 and into turn 4. But it looks as though Crispy gets a very nice exit there. Shouldn't be troubled on this occasion. And Roller is sticking it with Sobin Sok, which is important for his race, as we're now 5 laps in. I'm kind of surprised that Beast is yet to pit. Have these two got damage or something? Because they're just dropping so much time. They're now nearly 8 seconds off the back of the pack. I don't quite know what's going on with those two there.
Oh, we just got a pen as well. It's not great.
And Roller gets a penalty as well.
I wonder if this is probably unless his Beast has not got the pace or what, but he's not exactly slow. So I wonder if this is going to force everybody else on the softs to just go as long as they possibly can to save the pain. Because if I was Beast, I might as well just go for a Hail Mary at this point and just put the softs on and hope that he gets back in this race.
Yeah, it's strange though, because Jish doesn't appear to have damage either, and he's on the softs, but they're just losing so much time to the rest of the field. I can't really explain it, to be honest. Akos then might have another look at Crispy. This time round he's a little bit closer, but again not quite close enough. Can he this time set up a move out of turn 3? Gets a better run through the corners, but again, Crispy's so quick off the corner. Just pulls away on the traction and unchallenged again down into turn 4. As Despair, I think, is trying to push for a move on FRT. Chris here gets very loose there in these conditions. It looks awful to drive, it has to be said. There's Despair nearly losing the car there as well. Case in point, really. How's Roller getting on? Much better on the ERS front is Roller.
Well, Akos is doing the same thing as he did in Russia. Just not using the ERS, so he's clearly got the pace. He just doesn't have the track position at the moment. So it's going to be a balance. Do you want to take the pain and go on those medium tyres? Do you want to undercut and try and get track position? I don't know. I can't really tell if it's going to be an undercut or an overcut that's going to work around this track in these conditions. But FH.
Speaking of, we've got FH, yeah, as he did in Russia, kind of the one to pull the trigger on the pit stops.
If he stays out, I wonder if he just doesn't think these softs can go, but I'm sure they will go, especially in these conditions.
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd think the tyre wear wouldn't be as bad. And again, it's the same old story for Akos. Just can't get the run through 2 and 3 to go for a move on Crispy, and he's got Dylan and Sem for company here. I'm sure they'd love to try and get past him, but well, I think FH may be the guinea pig for the FRT team here to see if it is the way to go on the mediums. Seems to be pulling that gap down to Beast already, so I wonder if those two are just having some sort of issues back there or something. Yeah, look at the gap on the left hand side of the screen there. FH is pulling that delta down pretty quickly
that
here.
he's just had a moment. He's playing about with the gears a lot of short shifting going on for FH.
Dylan just ran wide going into the stadium section, just in the braking zone, so bit of a mistake on his part. Perhaps pick up a warning there. Crispy pits as well, so early stop for Crispy. Obviously wants to try and defend from the undercut, and maybe this is the time where Akos starts to use some of that battery to try and get the overcut, possibly, as Roller still right behind Sominsot, so he's done well to keep in touch with him.
Yeah, Beast pits finally. We'll see. I don't know if he can salvage anything from this, but he's going to have to have a mammoth stint once again. I think he's got about almost near 10-second gap to 10th place. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Akos there just picking up a penalty, James. Would you say that, well, I mean, we've seen less penalties, it would seem, than the last race, especially from the FRT guys, to their credit. Do you think the weather conditions perhaps have something to do with that?
Yeah, I think they probably do. I think obviously these guys aren't able to push as hard as they could around Russia with the fact that there's less grip, and obviously they're going to be driving a bit slower and driving a bit more cautiously just to keep the car on the road. But yeah, Akos hasn't used much of his battery, but unlike Russia, he just doesn't seem to have. He doesn't seem as confident in the wet conditions. Doesn't quite seem to have as much pace as we've got someone stuck in the pits. I think that might, like you say, I think the overcut's looking good around here, and I think that could help Roller out nicely. But yeah, Dylan, as I say that, of course, Akos goes and sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, another SLRT driver with a penalty for speeding into the pits. Roller had about 80% of his battery, so he's obviously trying to go for an overcut here, I think, on Sobbing Sock. Where's Crispy going to come out in relation to the FRT driver? I think he's closed the gap down a little bit, has Crispy,
yeah, it looks like he has.
but not enough to get within DRS range of the FRT driver. So is Roller going to be able to go for the overcut? Because it doesn't look as though that's going to be the way to go here. Obviously the undercut is very powerful round here. Akos though gaining time on Roller, so maybe he might have a chance, have a shot at an overcut on Crispy. That's obviously what he went for. Felt confident in his abilities to go for that overcut. And well, if he can make it work, he might find himself in that battle for the lead with Race Roller and his teammate Sobin Sok, which would be really, really good for the FRT team if they can get into that position. So then Roller comes into the pits as not Akos does not pit this lap, so he's staying out for another one. So then it's hammer time really for Sobin Sok. Can he stay ahead of Roller? My initial inclination would be yes.
Yeah, it looks like it's...
So that is going to be the case.
Jumped for in the end, I would say. Can Race Roller get in the DRS? It's going to be close on that front. He needs that DRS. And he's just on the edge of that at the moment as Dylan getting past Evan. And B sets fastest lap, yellow flag. And that is Akos. Akos is spun, I think. Yeah, he has.
Yeah, I think he has spun.
Gone again. He's got back up and running, but yeah, he has spun.
Evan going for the move on Dylan here. Mertz down into 4. Backs out.
Yeah, out of turn out of here really. So I'm not sure what happened. Must have got on the outside curb and lit the rears up.
Yeah, I was just checking if he had a puncture, but it doesn't look like it. But that is big for this race and this event, because Akash was in. Well, he's battling for P3, which are obviously big points for FRT.
Could see him drop.
Well, he's going to drop right down the order now, isn't he?
P8 probably. He's definitely going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon probably around about P8 now. Yeah, that is a big shame. P7, P8. We'll wait and see how much that has cost him. But it didn't seem to be a big spin, but enough of a spin to lose him a lot of positions.
Yeah, he lost about 6 seconds from it. But yeah, no damage, thankfully. Otherwise, that would have really been curtains for him. Roller has got DRS on sock, so that will give him a chance, I think, later on in the race, perhaps to get himself into that battle for the lead. But he needs to make sure he doesn't lose the DRS. Having said that, Akash has come out then in P7, a little way off of this battle between Evan and Dylan for P5. I think penalties are going to have a big role to big part to play still in this event, though, as well. Half the field over having penalties. In fact, only 4 drivers without penalty at the moment, which could, well, it could shake things up come the end of this race. We've got just over 7 laps to go.
Beast is probably going to get an easy overtake on Sem here. He's closed that gap up. Sem struggling after the pit stop.
Ooh, big lunge from Evan on Dylan there into the stadium section. Where's Dylan gone? There he is. And he's trying it around the outside of the hairpin now. Pushing Dylan.
Almost stuck together.
It's very sort of aggressive battling these guys are putting on display here.
That's a big crash.
Dylan's gone.
Dylan's
lost the car, and he's taken Akash with him.
That was a
I'm
huge
going to be
crash.
honest, I didn't quite catch it.
I think you did. Yeah, it was a huge crash. Beast is going to hit Lego. Yeah, so, well, Dylan did actually lose the car. So he took the narrower line, but I wonder if he had his overtake still on. Could have been the reason why he spanned. So his car just he caught the car, but it went left straight across, and he just slid. And Akash had nowhere to go apart from clip his rear left tyre, and then that sent him into a spin, and well, his wheel came off, and so did Dylan's. But yeah, all caused by Dylan just losing the car coming out of the final corner. So yeah, I wonder if he just had his overtake still on, which meant that his RPM was a little bit too high for these conditions.
Yeah, that could be an event-defining incident there, because well, FRT, arguably FRT's strongest driver throughout the event, Akash taken out after Dylan lost control of the car, so that's could really have large implications on the final result. But at the moment it is still Sobbing Sock out front. Not really checked in on that battle for a little while, as well the gaps kind of remain the same around 5/10. Is Despair going to be able to go for the move on Chris? Down into someone? Not on this occasion. Roller looking more comfortable, James.
Yeah, he looks a bit more at home in these on the mediums than Sock. Sock's quite twitchy out of some of the big traction zones, and yeah, Roller as well with a lot of the battery. I think we could see a move potentially fairly soon. I mean, Roller needs to get ahead and then hope that Sock picks up a penalty, because yeah, as it stands, I think the SLRT boys are just coming up short. But yeah, that was just off a quick calculation in my head. I haven't looked at what sort of penalties these guys are on. So yeah, I think for Roller, he needs to try and make a move soon and try and either pull away or hope that Sock gets a penalty. That could be the big factor in this race.
Yeah, definitely not over yet, but I think you're right. Just looking at the positions everyone's in, it is As you say, FRT with the advantage with 5 laps now to go. Crispy as well is susceptible to lose the position to FH unless he can get that gap over 3 seconds. That is if he's only got the 1 penalty as well. Roller, I think, needs to get a move done on Sock and fast if he can.
He's going for it.
Here he is. Is he going to try it round the outside at 4? He's going to have the inside now for 5. Sock trying to force Roller to back out, which in a way he does.
And Despair looks like he's going side by side. Despair's going side by side with Chris. Goes off the track. Beast is going to get 2 for the price of 1 here. It's going to be close. He's going to have the inside line. He's going to have more grip. Force him onto the curb, and there he goes up into P6. And now he can chase after Evan. And FH does pick up a time penalty.
And that's important because that means that Crispy could quite possibly be no longer be at risk from the FRT driver. Is Despair going to get Chris this time round into the stadium? Thinks about the lunge, but just too far back. And to be honest, they could do with a bit of battling here, these guys, because it could bring Sem in as Despair dives down the inside again. Forces Chris to cut the corner. Possibly unnecessarily there, but he did nevertheless, and that's given him another penalty. We'll go back to this battle at the front then. But Sock, really, apart from the last lap, hasn't been challenged too much by Roller, but he gets a penalty now, and this really gives Roller a chance here. This gives SLR a chance if Roller can get this move done, but Sobbing Sock has defended so stoically, so far and so well that that chance last lap was really the only chance Roller's had since losing the lead to Sock at the start of this race.
Yeah, it's well, even now, really, and Race Roller just doesn't need to make any mistakes, or can't make any mistakes, I should say, because I think whoever wins this race probably will end up winning the event. By the way it's going, I mean, everyone's fairly even on penalties, you would probably assume. Maybe a couple have more than others, but yeah, only Sem doesn't have a penalty, but he is probably about to get past Despair, who picks up another time penalty, so he's probably going to drop back, but only 1 position because Jish is pitted for fastest lap, which also could play a part. If he does end up getting fastest lap.
Yeah, currently held by Beast. Could possibly be an idea maybe for the SLR team to pit in Despair for that. To give that a go. I'll have to wait and see on that one. Roller just can't get close enough to Summon Sock. I think it's going to take a bit of a mistake here from Sock to go for this move.
Yeah, it's the traction out of the final corner, isn't it? He just can't quite get his foot down quickly enough to get the momentum onto the start-finish straight. But yeah, a big battery advantage now. He's going to have to utilise that sooner or later. Otherwise, yeah, I think it could be FRT in the hot seat.
Yeah, so he gets a bit out of shape there. Just Sock through the middle sector. Roller, as you say, needs to try and close this gap down to go for a move, but again, still just can't close in the gap as Jish does get the fastest lap. That could be a very crucial point.
Yeah, Sem really needs some strong laps now, but he's only going to gain 1 position as it stands, because Beast is almost 4 seconds ahead of Chris and about over 4 seconds behind Evan. So yeah, doesn't seem like much is going to change. The only thing I can see changing is Sem to overtake Chris, and can Race Roller get past on the Sock? It doesn't seem like he's got any chance at the moment.
Yeah, Despair is in then. That fastest lap point could be the difference maker if Despair can get it.
Yeah, it just needs could be the difference, but yeah, Race Roller needs a mammoth final part of this lap and a good exit out the final corner, and well, you never know, you never go. But yeah, Sock seems to have it under control at the moment.
Evan with another penalty.
Could just invite.
Put him at risk from Beast.
Yeah, could just invite Beast in for another position if he can have a good final lap. But it's a whole second if that's what he needs.
Here we go then. This is Roller's chance as we start the final lap. But he just can't get that run out the final corner like Sobbing Sock. He needs to use this battery. Does Roller. Just not quite gaining enough by the looks of things. Is he going to be able to go for a move down into turn 3? This is the stage where things get possibly a bit desperate for Roller. He's got possibly a chance. If he can send one down the inside, which he does, he's going for it.
Contact.
Sobbing Sock turns in and Roller is half spun, but I think we kind of expected that to happen. Roller kind of just had to try something to get past Sobbing Sock, and he was just too far back really to go for any sort of genuine move. So yeah. Sock, by the looks of things, is just about going to hold on, but it's not done yet for the remaining positions.
Sem picks up a time.
Sem gets a penalty,
I don't think...
and that could. I don't. Yeah,
no.
sorry, I don't think that should change anything. Actually, you're right.
Beast is really close.
So here we
to
go then.
Second mark.
Sobbing Sock is gonna take the victory, and this could be the overall victory as well for FRT. It's Roller in second, Crispy is third. FH crossed the line in fourth with Evan fifth. Beast, is he gonna do it? No, by 8 thousandths he loses out. Oh, despair for Beast. Not quite able to do it. Sem is 7th, Crisp 8th. Is Despair going to do it?
Up, but he's used up all of his ERS, so unless he has a good final sector, he needs about half a second in the final sector. This is a big point. If
Despair can get it for SLR, crosses the line, he cannot get the fastest lap.
Out. Right.
And well, it's all over then on track. If we can do the maths quickly.
I think it's 53.49.
Let me work it out. Ooh. Yeah, 53.49.
So that's a 2 point.
Or it might be 54.48, James. I'm not sure actually.
Either way, it's very close, isn't it? But I think FRT might have just edged it. By I think less than 5 points even.
So then, Sobbing Sock takes the victory for FRT. And is that going to be enough to see them take the event victory, at least provisionally? I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be stewarding involved or whatnot, but if there is, I guess via socials it will be kept updated. So there we go. Every driver having a penalty in the end, but it's Sobbing Sock takes the victory here at Mexico. Let's just tally up the old points. I think it is for FRT, which would make it
49.
49, and I think that would mean that FRT would win by 1 point or 2 points.
2 points, yeah.
2 points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so close in the end. But it looks as though
provisionally, of course,
FRT with the help of a sobbing sop victory, are going to take the event win. But it's been a tremendous effort from SLRT in their first ever team event. It would appear, though, just falling short to the more experienced FRT side in the end. But there's been some brilliant racing on display, it has to be said. I've thoroughly enjoyed it myself. I think both teams have, shown really good accounts of themselves. Good impression for league and esports racing. Those are your final standings for Mexico, at least. And I guess just ask your final thoughts, Mertz and James, if you've got any.
Yeah, I mean, well, I expected it to be close. Looks like FRT just edged it for now, unofficially, we should say. But yeah, I think if it is FRT that do win in the end, I have to say they deserve it because they won both races. So yeah, I think if you win such a close event, you deserve to win. So yeah, fine margins, good battles. Yeah, I think SLRT can hold their heads high in their first event. Of course, they would have wanted to win, but if they do end up losing this one, they've certainly got things to look forward to, I'm sure. And yeah, they can always improve as well. And you never know what will happen on the new game. They could transform.
Yeah, kind of the same as what Merckx has said. Really, I think for their first event, SLRT can be really proud of what they've done. Yeah, I think maybe from the provisional results, isn't it just coming up short? But I mean, yeah, they all put a shift in, all six of the lads, and all drove really well. So I think, yeah, they can be proud of what they've achieved. Obviously, going up against a well-established team such as FRT, to only lose by a couple of points is a really good effort. And I think maybe just missing one, maybe two guys to just get a couple more points and really put some pressure on at the top. But no, I think overall the SLRT guys, and on debut, of course, they've done the league, and they've done the team a really proud job.
Yeah, I think you've both summed that up very nicely, to be honest. A great event. Thank you to both teams for representing, or the drivers for representing their teams so well. Thank you for the teams as well for organising the event and giving us the opportunity to commentate over it. FRT then just taking the victory narrowly against the debutants SLRT, but I think both teams definitely for the future, they can use this as a bit of a springboard. I think, obviously, to try and propel themselves up. There's definitely promise in both teams, potential as well. Obviously, FRT a bit more established than SLRT, as we've said, but yeah, I think both of them have really put good accounts in for themselves there, and it's been a brilliant event to watch and commentate over, and I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. So I think that'll do us for this evening. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Good night.